Welcome back to another episode of the FBC review. We are here to talk about what week this is. Week 4 of the FBC of the Fall Break Championship. So we can hop into it with our very first game of the week, which we don't, we've led off with Brett before. Brett, famous for his multiple 6-0s. That's usually what we lead off with him. We usually lead off with 6-0s because a little more one-sided. You don't really want to anchor with those sorts of matches. But we can hop into Brett's here. I think we all know what to expect. Start off with a Starmie lead versus Cinderace. Starmie's going to go ahead and swap into Gengar as we get a Swords Dance out of Cinderace. And we see it Protean into a normal type, which is good for Zane here, because it actually kind of blocks a Shadow Ball, which would have been, I think, the preferred option here. Brett, not looking to mess around, is just going to go ahead and take this seriously and fire off a Focus Blast and knock the Cinderace down to 1 HP because of the Focus Sash. I don't know how Brett was feeling right here. I figured he might have been like, man, I need to deal with this. I'm just going to go ahead. Because he might Sucker Punch here. Cinderace could have Sucker Punch. But I just need to try to take this thing out, not mess around. Also covers a potential switch into Ferrothorn, because Ferrothorn would switch in. I think the more obvious play here is Sludge Wave. But this covers switch into Ferrothorn. So we see that happen. And then follows up with a Flame Charge, which is interesting. That's not something you typically see on Cinderace, especially with Swords Dance. So I think at this point, Brett's probably thinking, like, what is going on? So he's going to go into Rillaboom. He's like, I'm just going to get some priority in here. It'll be safe. Baton Pass into Pinsir. And inarguably, I think from this point forward, the only way for Brett to have a chance in this battle is to go back in time and have built the team differently. Because now this Pinsir can outspeed everything. The only priority that's available is like, Ice Shard, Fake Out. No combination of those things from Mamoswine and Lopunny are really going to be able to kill Pinsir. Pinsir's got like a really good defense stat. So Pinsir can just kind of +2 Aerialate boost, return, and quick attack through everything on the team. Just no way around it. And just like that, in 9 turns, Zane takes out Brett. Really just, I mean, I wouldn't say surprising, because, like, surprising's tough, because I don't think anything crazy here happened. Like, the Cinderace, this was clearly designed to do this exact thing. I think a lot of this team was probably built around the idea of getting, like, he built Cinderace first. He built this set first to pass to either Pinsir or Sneasler, or, like, as a backup, Ninetales was here to set up Aurora Veil to do those things. These mons here are supportive of these mons. So this was designed. So it's hard to say it was surprising, but I don't think this was expected. This is in wrestling, this is called a squash match. This is a showcase for Pinsir, just to kind of get Pinsir over and see what of a threat it is. But I do think this is a good opportunity to discuss something that we've kind of avoided for the FBC here. And I think it's a discussion that we've had about seasons past, and I think it's time to bring it up again, which is the Baton Pass rules. Most draft league format most draft leagues ban passing stats. You can just click Baton Pass and go ahead and switch out. Actually, real quick, let me check something, because we didn't do that, did we? Because I think we were trying to keep... No, okay, our Baton Pass clause, you can't have more than one Pokemon. Oh, it's, our Baton Pass rules is players can't have more than one Pokemon with Baton Pass, which he probably didn't. So, really, Rule 5.3 is what we need to examine. Most leagues ban baton passing stats, and this is just here so that way you can't baton pass stats to a Pokemon that baton passes stats and just kind of snowball from there. That's the reason that this exists. But I think it's time to re-examine the idea of if we should ban baton passing stats, just because the power level in the league now is so much higher than it's been. It's something that should maybe be discussed going into Season 24. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. We'll revisit it. But we can move on to the next battle after that. Next up, we have another relatively quick match. We've got Jabron taking on Keenan in the first of the two winners bracket matches that we're going to talk about. So let's hop into the battle. We've got a lead Quaquaval versus Palafin. I think smart by Keenan just to get Palafin going, flip turn out, get that 0 to hero going. Aqua Step from Quaquaval hits Roserade. I didn't run these calcs, so I don't know if we're learning anything about these things. I would have to imagine that if you see flip turn on Palafin, you could probably assume choice banded. This damage from that makes sense to me. So moving on. This Roserade's gonna switch out, and good call, because we do reveal an Ice Spinner here. I'm not convinced that would have KO'd, personally. I kind of thought Brave Bird was gonna come out, especially considering the Heracross that's also on this team. But we just get an Ice Spinner into knockoff here, getting rid of that Palafin's Choice Band, which ends up being really important. And honestly, I do think that I think it is important because it affects the calcs significantly. But I actually think Palafin not being bound by a Choice Band in this match is way better. This is better for Palafin, in my opinion. But let's move on. We've got Ogerpon that comes out. Now, right here, I remember we were watching and it's just like, okay, well, Palafin can't stay in because it's just going to die. It's not worth the chip damage that Jet Punch is going to give because it's just going to die to a Horn Leech or a Wood Hammer or what have you. So he's probably got to go out into Chandelure because a Grass move is definitely coming. If this happens to be Scarf Roserade, maybe you could make a real aggressive play and go into Roserade. But that's not what happened. Keen just stays in, gets off legitimately good damage with the Jet Punch. Like, if he gets a little, like, damage on Ogerpon plus a rain boosted Jet Punch ends up doing, like, would do over 60% to Ogerpon. That'd be really good. But Hornleech is just going to take out Palafin, and he's going to get most of that back. So, really not worth it to give up Palafin there, especially considering going to be hard. He's lost the tool to deal with Donphan. He's lost the priority against this Diancie, and we already saw he would probably like priority to maybe pick off Ogerpon at some point. So Chandelure is going to come out, go for the Shadow Ball. That makes total sense. He's going to catch this Politoed, do a pretty good amount of damage, and then he's going to have to switch out into Roserade, just try to stay safe here. Roserade's going to eat a Surf, and then surprisingly, this Politoed is going to stay and need a Giga Drain. I would have to imagine, based on the way this team is set up, I feel like you just want to go for power here. I mean, Energy Ball would have KO'd this Politoed, would have been a big game changer. And then, so he's going to have to eat an Ice Beam, which does a significant amount of damage as Roserade's continuing to be weakened. This right here, hold on, let me go back. So, we see this, Giga Drain, and I just want to talk about a play here, good. Okay, so right here. You don't need to go for Giga Drain here, because couple things. Basculegion's probably not coming in on the Giga Drain that you just went for. Like, Giga Drain is what is predicted to come out. You're not gonna, or you don't know if this is choice. This could be Scarf for all Jabron knows. So, I think this is a kind of a Pokemon psychology moment, maybe a best practice sort of thing. If you have a move that can cover this, like something switching, I really think you need to go for a move if it KOs. Let me explain. So, the play on the field, okay? The obvious play, just like when it's like first and goal, ball on the 2-yard line. Obviously, the defense is thinking run, right? You're just gonna punch it in, just get it done. You can get fancy on other tries. You could just honestly just try running it 4 times in a row. Not the point. But play on the field right now is reading grass move coming out. We just went for a grass move. This Pokemon's still grass weak. You got a lot of grass weak Pokemon in the back. Play in the field is Giga Drain. But the problem is you can't afford for Ogerpon to come in for free. So if this Ogerpon is going to get greedy and try to come in, you need to try to punish that. I think we were talking about in the chat at the time, he needs to click Sludge Bomb on this turn. Sludge Bomb needs to come out because it'll kill the Politoed. It'll do, a chunk of damage to Diancie. Diancie doesn't resist Sludge Bomb. Won't do a lot to Basculegion, but like I said, the play on the field is Giga Drain. Unlikely to go into that. If you were to go into Donphan, even though the play on the field is Giga Drain, you'd want to go for Sludge Bomb here because you couldn't kill it with a Giga Drain straight up anyway. So you Sludge Bomb to poison it, Giga Drain on the next turn, get a KO, and get a bunch of HP back. The most important thing it does is cover the Ogerpon switch in. If he goes for Sludge Bomb here, then we're gonna see it. Get the Giga Drain. Sludge Bomb probably would have KO'd Ogerpon. I'm convinced of it. And then we actually see him stay in. Oh no, we don't see him stay in. Jabron pulls a really nice switch here. So also, I guess something I was neglecting to talk about. We don't know what this Roserade's item is. It's never switched moves. It's never showed anything. It could be Choice Scarfed. I don't think we learned if it was Choice Scarf. I think based on the interaction, where is it? Based on the interaction here with the fact that we had the flip turn into or not the flip turn. If it was Choice Scarf, I think it would have stayed in versus the Quaquaval on turn 2, right? That would have made sense to me because it could have outsped even with the Choice Scarf. After the Aqua Step with the Choice Scarf, still would have outsped. So I think I don't think it's Choice Scarf. I think he needed to Sludge Bomb on that turn. But then he actually switches out there. And Jabron makes a nice switch to get the Basculegion with 4 turns of Rain left. That's great. Actually, now 3 turns. He's a flip turn KO the Chandelure. I'm going to go ahead and assume that Keenan either just said, I don't have a good switch in, or I don't care about the Chandelure. If he says he doesn't care about the Chandelure, that's a problem because, I think we already saw it was Scarf Chandelure, at least based on the way he played it. It was something he needed to keep around. And I think he might have forgotten about the Swift Swim on the Basculegion. Basculegion's able to get an easy KO there, come out into Diancie, and kind of be in a good spot here. Now, let's see if I can... it doesn't look like I can make the chat pop up in the way it did it. So, I think there was discussion here about how the speed works. Because, some Pokemon history lessons. In Generation 6, Diancie would always run Protect, and the reason for that was because the speed change... Diancie goes from 50 base speed to 110 base speed when it Mega Evolves, and that doesn't happen in Gen 6. That didn't happen until the turn after it Mega Evolved. In Generation 7, it happened immediately when it Mega Evolved, so you'd always see Diancie Protect and Mega Evolve and then run 3 moves. And right here, Keenan asks about that, what happens. Maybe he was looking it up. I feel like some text is going to pop up here. Yeah, right here. Megas get their stat boost the turn after they Mega or the turn they Mega. Yeah, so he would have gotten the speed boost. Ron didn't know the answer to that question. Brett answered it, figured it out, but at that point it was too late. And then from there on out, even especially with the defense boost, there's kind of no turning back at this point. Diancie's just able to really easily clean up here with Moonblast, Flash Cannon, Diamond Storm, able to take out everything in its wake. Pretty good battle between these two. I think Keenan a little bit outclassed. He made a couple of mistakes, I think, in terms of tactics, and just made a couple of not great plays, and maybe forgot a couple of things. But Jabron moving on to the finals of the FBC. Next, we've got my match versus Darren. I haven't played Darren a bunch. So I don't really, it's hard for me to kind of figure out his style. Plus his team was so scary. I spent a big chunk of the week just thinking about how to deal with the Coco Lucha combination, and then being like, oh, he has a Mega Medicham I also need to plan for. And then, oh right, there's a Zarude and an Iron Moth and a Landorus. So really difficult squad to plan for. especially when I'm not as familiar with the the play style of Darren. I haven't, like I said, haven't played him a ton, so had to figure that out. We can hop into the game and I can talk through some of my planning processes. I also realized that the lead here, like shit, there's quite a few Pokemon that I could just get the lead wrong. If he leads with Coco or Moth, I am in a really bad spot if I lead with Corviknight, but I figured it was better than anything else I could go for. So I lucked out here. We see the Protect come up from Zarude. I think it's probably fine to go for it here, because he obviously has Protect to defend against First Impression from low kicks. I think that's a really good tech there. He's going to hard switch out into Landorus. My Mirror Armor is going to activate, lowering Landorus' defense, making any other switches a little bit safer. I can U-turn out into Urshifu. Urshifu has a really interesting matchup because he does have plenty of dark resists, and he has plenty of fighting resists. But the thing is, not a lot of stuff on his team has recovery. So if I can just hit stuff hard enough, I should be good. Plus, this is a -1 defense Landorus. I think based on the U-turn damage, I figured this isn't super offensive. It's not like he's running power. I don't think he's running power Herb Fly. That would be the only thing that would really get me here. I'm just like, I can just come and do a bunch of damage. Tapu Koko comes out surprisingly on a balloon. I was kind of expecting... I guess that is counterplay for a potential Doug trio, right? But I'm really happy to be able to hit that for 42 damage, pop a balloon, and I obviously now I have to switch out Galarian Slowkings, the easy go-to there. Really upset with myself this week that I didn't bring Psychic Noise. Would have been a big help. I think he has something that's got soundproof, maybe, and that's why I didn't do it. I can't remember for sure. So I think that's why I didn't do it. Let me pull up on the side here, because it's really bothering me now. Like, why didn't I have that? You must have a soundproof Mon, right? Sorry, bear with me. My brain was not going to be able to move on from this. No, I don't know why I did that. I had Psychic Noise. Would have been good for that spot. Nature's Madness able to get a big chunk off on me, obviously. He's going to go into Goodra, which is obviously a really safe play, but I get the Future Sight, which I'm really excited about because, I mean, we'll see here. I'm going to hard switch into Urshifu, just the safest play. Knockoff's going to come off. I guess I could have stayed in and been able to take that, but Urshifu's relatively safe. The knocking off my black belt doesn't matter as much for these calcs anymore, seeing as how the black belt was mostly there for me to be able to do a little bit of extra damage with Sucker Punch to Mega Medicham. That's no longer here. So here's the great thing. Future Sight goes up on turn 6. Turn 7, I switch in and get knocked off. That means turn 8, a Future Sight's coming down. Play on the field right here is go for close combat. He obviously doesn't want to take... close combat will kill Hisui and Goodra. Close combat will kill a Zarude. The only things it won't KO, or it probably will kill a Tapu Koko at the range it's at. The only things it won't KO are Landorus and Iron Moth, and both of those will go down to the combination of a close combat and a Future Sight. So I'm in a great spot here where I'm just going to be able to get a KO, and I actually do get the KO with this close combat on the Tapu Koko. So, unfortunately, no target for the Future Sight, but I was covered either way. Hawlucha is the scariest thing in the known universe. A large section of my planning was just, how do I deal with Hawlucha? So, show you what I did. Hardened Blastoise. This Blastoise is max physically defensive. A +2 close combat from Hawlucha does not KO Blastoise, and I agonized for a while over, okay, do I do Haze to get rid of any of the boosts? Do I do Counter to try to KO him back? Or do I go for Roar just to phase him out and get rid of Unburden and any boosts he has? The only time that doesn't work is if he has his last Pokemon Hawlucha, right? I decided to go with Roar. I figured that was safest. But he doesn't Swords Dance here. He just goes for a raw Thunder Punch, which is honestly really good for me. Thunder Punch, so Hawlucha does not get Thunder Punch boosted because of the electric terrain. Since it's not touching the ground, it doesn't get the boost, is what I found out in my prep. So he's going to go for Thunder Punch, and this is basically why I didn't elect for counter, even though it's like my favorite move. If he sets up on this turn 10 here, if he Swords Dance there and I clicked counter, I lose. So I took another Thunder Punch, able to eat my Citrus Berry, get back to a decent amount of health, and just roar him out. That has eliminated his defense boost from the Electric Seed, and also his Unburden boost is gone, and he can't get it back. Now I know I can Revenge Kill it. It's basically neutralized at this point. He can set up as much as he wants. I've got Choice Scarf Sandy Shocks. I can Revenge Kill him. So I'm happy. Iron Moth comes in. Not an ideal scenario, but especially with the speed boost here. So I'm just going to go out into my Galarian Slowking, which is max Spadef. Should be able to take anything this deals out. He does get the boost. It's a little bit worrisome, especially because, again, I didn't bring Psychic Noise. Wish I had. I'm going to break the substitute with Psychic and follow up with a Future Sight because it made sense for the Zarude to come in. And we're going to be able to do the same play we did before. Except this time, we're going into Corviknight. And at this point, now we can kind of threaten the Zarude. I think he made a mistake here. I guess we can talk about that. I was excited because I could threaten the Zarude with the U-turn or Brave Bird and be able to hit and be able to deal with anything else that came in. We're kind of in a similar situation where Hisuian Goodra might have come in, not too scared of that. Maybe thought I had Body Press, though. I guess that's what he was thinking. He was afraid of a Body Press. So he went into Iron Moth. But also, I don't know if he forgot about it or just decided Iron Moth wasn't valuable. He's going to come in and take this Future Sight after I U-turn. I went into Hydrapple just because I figured that was the best position I could have, because Hawlucha might come out and the Hisuian Goodra might come out. Those are the two biggest threats, and I had like 2 Hydrapple, and I have good switch-ins for those. Because with Iron Moth being down because of the Future Sight, I don't have to worry about that position. So get another kill because of kind of a Future Sight force that I had happen there. Hisuian Goodra is going to come out. I need to get information on this. I know nothing about this Pokemon other than the fact that it has knockoff. I did know from the knockoff it probably wasn't physically offensive, which isn't a big surprise. So I'm like, okay, I am Assault Vest. I can stay in for one move here. Unless he's Choice Specs, which he probably isn't since he has knockoff, I can live one hit. Take the Ice Beam, find out he's not specially offensive invested, able to fire back with a Fickle Beam, find out that is Assault Vest, like Max Spadef Assault Vest. So that's good information to have. I'm totally happy taking 64% there just to learn that. Going to go into Galarian Slowking, recovered nicely from that Nature's Madness earlier. I am going to lose my Black Sludge, but I'm going to be able to... I probably, in hindsight, should have thrown up a Future Sight there. Just going to Chilly Reception out to Hydrapple. And at this point, it's just pressuring him. He's got no recovery on any of these Pokemons. Pokemons? That's not how we talk. He doesn't have any Dragon Resist. As soon as I get past the Goodra, I'll just be able to get KOs with Fickle Beam. So I just need to keep chipping it down. And I have a really easy way to do so. I'm going to go ahead and go for a close combat here. Hawlucha is going to be able to come in and take that pretty well, but Hawlucha is not a big threat. Blastoise has done its job. It can come in and get KO'd by Hawlucha. No big deal. I did wait a little bit here before going into Sandy Shocks to maybe make him think like, oh, I can't, I'll be able to take a hit. But he either saw right through me or he's like, it's not worth trying to close combat. I have a very safe switch. Landorus, he goes into it. I went for the Volt switch just in case he didn't. I figured Landorus was come in, not worth getting cute. Going to Corviknight, he U-turns out, keeping up momentum. Soon Goodra's going to come out, I believe. Yeah, he's revealed the Thunderbolt, but I should have probably been playing more aggressively with Future Sights at this point. But I'm just going to Chilly Reception out, get an Urshifu, threaten with a close combat. And I'm actually able to take out the Zarude here. Just another piece of the puzzle going down. It's kind of It's kind of rote from this point on. Like, I can just keep doing the same thing. Going into a regenerator Pokemon, taking a hit, firing off a little bit of damage, pivoting out, and being able to get in something to threaten his Pokemon. Hydrapple's going to come in here and be able to fire off yet another Fickle Beam, a little bit more damage. This Goodra is slowly getting worn down. It's a long, arduous process, but I'm in position to take care of it. Like, I'm in a solid position. It's just about getting in my offensive threats when I can, and I'm doing it. So close combat wears down the Landorus a little bit more. I think at the stage it's at, next time it comes in on a close combat into Wicked Blow will KO it. So I'm not concerned about that. Fickle Beam's going to take out the Hawlucha. Now, next time I get Urshifu in, it wins. So I don't have to get cute. I don't have to try to save this Hydrapple. I'm just going to go for as many attacks as I can, as fast as I can. Because once he KOs me, Urshifu gets in and wins. And but it doesn't have to, because Hydrapple is just going to be able to pick up the last couple of KOs here. And that's it. Darren has got a scary team. I had to play really defensively around this, and as Dakota pointed out in the chat, my team's not built to be defensive. So I had to do a lot of pivoting with this matchup. I was able to get in my offensive threats and do some good damage. Like, Hydrapple is more defensive in this game, just because it's max HP and Assault Vest, but it is also modest max special attack. But able to just kind of burn through any defenses that his team had. Good game from Darren. I look forward to facing Jabron in 2 weeks. And now we can move on to our marquee match of the week.
Marquee match of the week. Now we have a theme.
And here we have Dakota taking on Zach in the consolation bracket. Yeah, I guess we can just hop into it. I think the biggest threat here, like the biggest thing to talk about here, is Chi-Yu is been just an absolute nightmare for teams to deal with, and we're going to talk about Chi-Yu real quick here. So Dakota leads off with his Chi-Yu check in Incineroar. This is Assault Vest Incineroar. Definitely can take on Chi-Yu in most circumstances, as long as it can stay relatively healthy. So starting off here against Raikou, Dakota elects to let Incineroar take that damage in exchange for a knockoff, which I think is, you can debate the merits of that trade there. A little bit of damage, maybe could have gone into something else, but Scald comes off and Raikou's just going to Volt Switch out. Now, here's the tough part. The Chi-Yu is a real big threat for this team. Like a combination of Dark Pulse and a Fire move KOs everything on this team except for Incineroar. Incineroar is now at 50 or 48% health. Your Chi-Yu check is, it can now maybe take 2 to 3 hits max from Chi-Yu before it goes down. That's a problem. Altari is going to come in, but Dakota does U-turn out, so he's going to keep up some momentum here and go hard into Sylveon, which is great. Torn T is going to come in. We'll be able to take that Hyper Voice pretty nicely. Knock off Sylveon's leftovers. Sylveon's going to go for a Mystical Fire to make sure that it can't do more damage with its special attacks. Tornado's just going to U-turn out of there, get recovery, ignore that stat drop. Another Hyper Voice is going to come out. Landorus is going to take, Swampert's going to take very little damage as the Wish goes up on Sylveon's side, and now Sylveon's toxic. It's going to be very hard for it to take on this Swampert 1v1, especially considering how little that damage that Hyper Voice is doing. Going to try to get some momentum with a flip turn into Tornadus here. As another Wish goes up, and the Wish is going to be passed into this Scizor, which just gets simply U-turned on as Chi-Yu comes out. So, good news is, Scizor is still at full health because it caught that Wish. Bad news is, Chi-Yu is in, and the only switch-ins to this are Incineroar at 48%, which has to take Rocks damage because it's Assault Vest. Glamora potentially, or Latias, but that's of course assuming that that Zach just doesn't play it safe. He could just go for a Dark Pulse and hit everything pretty hard with the exception of Sylveon. And it seems to be that's the decision that Dakota also came to, that Dark Pulse was probably a more upside click than anything else. But Zach don't care. He's just going to go for an overheat. It happens to miss here, but that doesn't really matter because even that crit doesn't make a difference. We were calcing it. Even a Scarf overheat KOs from that range. So, doesn't matter. Glamora is going to come out, and it's going to go for a Meteor Beam, and it's going to catch this Swampert here. Swampert takes, honestly, a pretty big chunk of health. It's going to go down to this follow-up Energy Ball. I think that's pretty good. That's pretty big. Raiku's going to come out and go for a Volt Switch, thinking it's going to be able to threaten this Glamora out after showing Scald earlier. But Dakota's going to go for Mortal Spin to get rid of those rocks. Now, that is important because Zach's Rocker is gone, and now Incineroar is a little bit more freed up to be able to come in on Chi-Yu in the future. Now, Scissor's going to come in on this Weezing. I don't really, it's tough. I don't get this switch. Weezing doesn't threaten Glamora too much. I don't know what Dakota's last move was. I'm guessing it was either, Thunderbolt or Sludge Wave. It should have stayed in and attacked the Weezing. Glamora's not doing a lot of goods, or it could have been just another rock move. It doesn't do a lot against anything else. It should have stayed in and attacked the Weezing. It had the +1 special attack. Weezing can't really threaten you back too much. The switch into Scizor was wholly unnecessary in my opinion. And he got burned, which sucks. He's going to U-turn. He's going to take even more damage as Incineroar is going to come out. And that's going to take a Flamethrower, do another little chunk of damage. Not a lot, obviously. Going to knock off the Rocky Helmet, take even more damage. Take a Strange Steam, take even more damage. Now, your Chi-Yu check has not gone up against Chi-Yu at all, and it's at 11%. Dakota's in a bad way here. I don't know what else he would have done differently. Gets a crit on Flare Blitz, which is nice, but obviously it is going to take out your check in Incineroar, and Latias is going to come in. Now, Dakota is behind in this game by a significant margin. His Glamora is on low health, and it's used its strongest move. Scizor is burned. Latias hasn't hit the field yet. Golurk hasn't hit the field yet, so still have some options there. But he's definitely behind in terms of what equity of the Pokemon he has. So I think he's got to start making some aggressive plays, and he agrees he's going to go for a Draco Meteor, predicting this Weezing to get saved in the back and a Chi-Yu to come in and block his Psychic move. That doesn't end up happening, and this is kind of at this point the downfall for Dakota. He's going to take a Strange Steam, which doesn't do a lot of damage, but he is going to get put in a spot where he's forced to roost, as Landorus is going to come in and threaten him with a knockoff. Scizor is going to come in, can't really do much at this point. I don't remember what he does. He might just go for a knockoff or bullet punch. Oh no, goes for a U-turn, trying to keep up some momentum. He's got Latias backing. He can try to, do the same thing he did. Now he's been able to kind of recover from his mistake. He can do the same thing. Now Chi-Yu's going to come in after the KO here. This implies a Scarf Chi-Yu. I didn't pick up on it at the time, but it also could just be this Latios can't KO me. So Dakota does read it properly, and he's like, I'm going to sack Glamora. Gamora's going to go down to a Dark Pulse. Golurk's going to come in, and this is screaming Choice Scarf Golurk. When I went against him, in hindsight, it was also screaming Choice Scarf Golurk when he brought it in against my Charizard, but I didn't pick up on it. Zach does pick up on it. He's like, Altaria's not doing anything. I can go into that here. Mega Evolves just in case he misses a Stone Edge or something. But Raikou even is able to outspeed even a Choice Scarf Golurk. Going to be able to fire off a Scald. Scizor is getting real low. Goes for Bullet Punch Chip. And Thunderbolt's going to clean that up. And at this point, it's just a matter of Latias. That's going to take a lot of damage from a Shadow Ball. Mystical Fire is probably going to make it so that way this Latias is less threatening. And as such, he Volt switches out. Tornadus is going to come in on the Roost. Easy knockoff for Torn here. He's going to get rid of the Soul Dew on Latias. Draco Meteor, not enough to take it out. And a U-turn crit probably gets the KO there. but it doesn't matter too much because you're probably just going into Raikou to sack it. Then you can come back out with Chiyu after. But yeah, Chiyu is going to come out and just go ahead and clean up this Golurk here. Thus confirming Choice Scarf, because Choice Scarf Golurk outspeeds Chiyu, but Choice Scarf Chiyu outspeeds Choice Scarf Golurk. Yeah, Zach really applying the pressure in that battle and able to come away with a 3-0 victory and moving on to have a chance. You know what? I don't remember who he faces, but let's go and take a look at the bracket. Now seems like an apt time to do so. Oh, I remember who he faces. So, looking in the championship bracket, I'll be facing Jabron in 2 weeks, in week 6 in the finals there. And then down here, I didn't move this. So Zane wins here. We can strike through Brett. Oh, that's not a strike through on Brett. There's a strike through on Brett. Here we go. So Zane is facing LQ, which is Keenan. So Zane versus Keenan next week. And we have Darren versus Zach. Should be an interesting matchup. I do want to pause this music real quick and just play something for no reason in particular. Oh, I closed all that. Hang on. We're not editing around this because I don't edit these anymore. Recent files.
Welcome to Shelmet Watch.
Hope that came through well enough. Yeah, I think we're gonna see a different game. We're gonna got a rematch of Darren versus Zach. Should be pretty interesting. Rematches are always fun to watch because, especially in like the one they had where it was kind of sudden what happened from Darren's end of things to Zach. So I think we're gonna see a lot of that. Should be a really interesting match. I'm really looking forward to that match next week. I might not record the podcast next week just due to the fact that we're going to have only 2 matches to cover. And if I wait a week, we'll have 3 matches to cover. But that's another thing to talk about. I guess it didn't get recorded last week, so I'll talk about it real briefly for anybody who's listening. What should happen in a double elimination bracket is games should continue to be played until every team except one has 2 losses. So in theory, what should happen after week 6? Let's just say Zane and Darren both win. Let's say we have Zane and we have Darren. What should in theory happen? Let's say Zane wins this. Zane goes here. Darren has 2 losses. He's out. Zane only has 1 loss. Let's say I win and I beat Jabron. Now, Jabron also only has 1 loss. So, in theory, Jabron should play Zane. And then the winner of that, let's say it's Jabron, would come and face me. Jabron only has 1 loss. I have no losses. So, we would play until one of us has 2 losses. That could be potentially another 2 games. I'm not saying we have to do that. But if all parties involved want to do that, we can. And we can get a true finals out of here. But I'm going to say we have to condense that into 1 week, maybe even 1 night. Maybe the week 6 finals, just be prepared to play a bunch of games. We can put some time, we can like kind of build some time in for people to do stuff. But maybe we do a week 7 where all of those things get addressed. But if the winner of the 3rd place game is happy with 3rd place and just wants to stop, I'm fine with that too. But if they want to keep going, we can play until everyone has 2 losses with the exception of 1 person. So that's kind of what's on the table. Mull it over. But I don't want to stretch this thing out for like the 4 extra weeks it would theoretically take. I think that's all I got for you. Thank you everyone for listening, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.